Here we go. Hello and welcome to another episode of Champions of Inspiration. I'm your host, Scott Schilling. We're going to have a great show today because we've got a great friend along with us. She is a 9-time best-selling author. She has shared the stage in 39 countries. She has been on virtually every media outlet known to man and woman, and just an absolute expert in the digital marketing space. Tracy Repchuk, thanks for joining us on Champions of Inspiration.
Thanks for having me, Scott.
So we want to talk about some fun things today. Why don't we talk about, something like quantum leaps?
What kind of quantum leaps
can we all take?
Tons. It's funny. When I started in the industry, way back in 2005, I guess it is now. And everyone said, "Oh my God, this woman emerged on the scene rapidly," and they started to call me the Quantum Leap Queen because I'd gone from nobody to all of a sudden winning New Internet Marketing Success of the Year to appearing on the World Internet Summit stage, for 5 years with 15 other men, and then having a new book and making 6 figures in 3 months. All of these things rapidly happened, and that's where Quantum Leap concepts began. And it's been a fun journey. I probably, as far as Quantum Leap is concerned, I have almost 16 products under that brand. And I love it because it's really all about when you connect yourself to a good coach or consultant or mentor, you can go from where you are to where you want to be in an amount of time that doesn't seem logical. And of course, that's what it was, that quantum leap, right? You go from here to boom, 10 steps ahead. And I often find that happens with a few reasons. One is speed, right? How fast do you get things done? And of course, with a mentor and a coach and somebody who's already got the blueprint or walked the path, they can rapidly accelerate you or rapidly show you the holes that you have in an already successful business, which is one of the things I love to do, take successful people and make them even more successful. And so it's a fun concept because, you want to do it the long way, the hard way, or the quantum leap way.
No, I totally agree with you there. And I think you said, a number of different things that are very important there. And I think as coaches and trainers, you'll hear coaches and trainers many times say, make sure that you find the mentor, make sure that you find the coach or the trainer who has the piece of information. That's not a self-serving statement. It's a by experience statement because quite frankly, I've found pretty much everybody and anybody who is something in their chosen discipline has followed the the footprints and the stepping stones that somebody else has laid down before them in a model. And Absolutely. That's where those quantum leaps become available, correct?
Exactly. And that's one of the things too. Like a lot of people would say, "Hey, how did you quantum leap, right? How did you get somewhere?" I spent $100,000. That's how. I mentored myself back to back. Every ounce of money that I earned, I put back into my next coach, put back into my next coach, my next coach, my next coach, my next coach, because in order to get somewhere, right, there were pieces that I needed. I needed the landing page, and then I needed copywriting, and then I needed the email marketing, and then I needed the the Google Ads or the website. I was constantly growing and evolving, and I think that adds to the speed. I think you'll find if somebody has stagnated or you encounter somebody and they say, "Gee, not much has happened for me in X months or X years even," most times they have been without a coach and a mentor. And I think that's one of the things you want to constantly remember is it's not about completing a coach and you're done for a while. It's about getting that next one that fills the gap that's going to continue the forward momentum. Otherwise, you either slide back or now you start to coast thinking everything is clear.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, it's interesting as you were talking about the different aspects of marketing and digital marketing. what it was driving through my mind was my path of, sales, then speaking, training, certain other disciplines, success with Jack Canfield, is finding the mentor. And I'm very similar to you. You can't be afraid to write the check to the person who has the model that you've seen work, that you would like to have work for yourself. And you find the person. One of the things that it drives me nuts in speaking. There are a number of people going, well, and wanting to speak, and you say, well, who's your speaker trainer? And they say, and you've never heard of them, or things like that. And you ask the question, how many times have they ever been on stage?
Yeah.
Well, well, they haven't been on stage a lot, but they really know this industry. Well, boy,
How?
yeah, exactly. How, right? So I mean, it's there's a little bit of street cred that needs to be there as you pick these mentors.
I completely agree. And, one of the pieces that you brought up there, which I was taught very early, and that was, if you can't write the check, you can't ask for that amount. You know what I mean? So I remember the first time that I paid out the $100,000 to a coach. And at that moment, it was filled with terror. And yet at the same time, I was like, great, now I'm going to be able to ask for $100,000 when I have a coaching program worthy of that type of investment, which ultimately I did. That was me being a co-CEO in companies. They would pay me $100,000 to advise and move them forward. And so I think that's something you got to think with too. If you're sitting there and you're charging $2,500 or $5,000 for your coaching program, and you're wondering maybe why you're not going up, when was the last time you paid $25,000 to a coach, right? So that you can ask for $25,000. That's really the philosophy. You will step your game up commensurately and confidently in relation to the amount you've invested in yourself.
Yeah, totally. And again, I've shared it many times, probably across my career. I think I've written checks to 19 different mentors in different areas, because for me, it was always about finding the person that I resonated with in that area that I could pattern myself after. In fact, I share one story that I had a brand new gold American Express card and went to an event specifically to follow one mentor, and he was on stage and was going through his presentation, and I was all excited to follow that. And all of a sudden he showed a picture of him with his car wrapped around a tree that he escaped death from. And his next statement was, for the first time in my career, I'm talking to you from my heart.
Wow.
And I went, I'm done. I'm out. And everybody said, why would you be out on that statement? Well, here's the expert who's been in the industry for so long that makes a statement, for the first time in my career, I'm coming from my heart. That didn't match with me very well.
Right, exactly.
But the next speaker happened to be my speaking mentor, John Childers.
I remember John. Yes.
And so he came with just a totally different style, and was definitely from his heart every bit of the way. A little bit of his country heart, but it was a heart for sure.
Yeah. Well, and what's interesting is when I was on the World Internet Summit stages, right? John Childers was the speaking coach of, he would do that. And so you had to go through John to continue to remain on the stage. And that was really part and parcel of the continued mentoring that, as I traveled with the World Internet Summit, they don't want me to go stale. And I constantly had to up my game as a platform seller, because if I wasn't in the top, you're gone, right? There was 1,000 people waiting for 16 slots on those stages, because they're in front of thousands of people. And they were absolutely mind-blowing, converting, right? Those were the heydays where the table rushes were absolutely insane. They were so much fun. And so, you get the right coach and I want to highlight this too, for where you are, right? Don't skip to, hey, I want, way over there type of thing, because you need to get these foundational pieces in. So many people I would see buy a traffic coach, right? When I was at these events, and I would be like, great, you got your website, your landing page, your email marketing funnel in place, your conversion, your gift. Is all that built so that this traffic will convert? No, I don't have any of that. So you bought out of order. And that's why I wrote the book, 31 Days to Millionaire Marketing Miracles. It was the A to Z of internet marketing for 3 years on Amazon. And then Wiley Publishing bought them and relaunched. We relaunched that, and it went to #1 in Canada, the US, and the UK all in the same day. That was to solve that gap problem and then sequence problem that people were running for this magic bullet without having their foundation built.
I think, again, another very important point there is building the foundation first. I knew that I wanted to become a professional speaker, and I wanted to go out, and while sharing messages from the front of the stage as a salesperson, as a sales trainer, had always been part of my career. If you're going to make it a business, then you need to treat it like a business. If you want to make business type money, you need to treat it like a business. If you want to make hobby type money, treat it like a hobby, right? You've got to do that. And John was absolutely amazing. In fact, I found an email exchange we had just not too long ago, and he said, "You were the most desirous person I had ever seen that wanted to go out and serve more people." He said, "I think we were just a really great match." And so it's neat that so many years later, you can look back on those things and say, let's dial in. If I want to make a quantum leap, I have to know what I want to leap to, right? You got to have at least a bit of that vision casting to say, hey, I want to get out ahead of it in this way.
Right.
So what products would specifically help people to accomplish that? I know you said you had 16 kind of in that
field, right? Well, one of them, if I take a look at where I start most people, that's actually a program called Quantum Leap Business. So one-on-one coaching. And what we do there is we set the blueprint, right, to where you want to go. And of course, we assess where you are. We put the strategy to fill all of those gaps. It's a 3-month program. And then that's what we kind of work towards, in that sequential way. So some people might need to start with right back at the foundation. Who's my niche market? Who am I supposed to be selling to? What am I going to sell them? And what does my landing page look like? What does my foundation look like? And we build that. Others might come along and they're already built in that way. They now want to move it to the upper 6 figures or break that 7-figure mark. That means we have to get all the pieces in for scaling, right? Then that's where a membership site might start to come into play, or we might take a look at more traffic if they've already got the conversion prospect in place or the conversion fundamentals in place. So that's probably where I start people. But you mentioned the speaker. I literally have, if people just want speaking, quantumleapspeaker.com. That's only for speakers who want to learn or want to have me craft their presentation or craft their close, right? Craft their offer. Right. Because you can ramble and be a great speaker, but if you don't convert at the end, then how are you going to serve the people that need you, right? Because you'll get them all excited about, yay, yes, I need more sales. I need to be a better salesperson. Okay, good. So what's the program that they can invest in with you? And so those are the pieces. And so many speakers don't even have a understanding that they need that close or they need that presentation that moves to a close. And of course, that means that they're speaking and educating and doing beautiful things, but they're not getting, I'll even call that the ability for them to put into exchange the ability to help somebody else also achieve and accomplish what they just talked about. And so that's another example of a program.
Yeah, there has to be an exchange of value. And it's funny when I was doing a lot of speaker coaching and speech review, same kind of thing, right? You're watching them and man, delivering the content, very relaxed, very smooth, paced well, all the other stuff. And it came to time now for the close and asking for the order and sharing what the offering was and then asking for the money.
Mhm.
And all of a sudden their pitch level went up, they started sounding like a mouse.
Or they go quiet.
or they
I've
went-
literally seen people back up on the stage and go quiet. I'm like, what are you doing?
Yeah, exactly. As opposed to coming out. They went to
Exactly.
totally. And again, I think that's the part that it's funny we're saying this because I was talking to a friend this morning and I said, it's interesting. I just offered an irresistible offer to a number of friends and built it to be an irresistible offer. And the people that I sent it to were specific in that, I've either done their shows or I've done them favors, one of those kinds of things, right? Where you've helped out, you haven't charged, you haven't done all this stuff. And after the interactions, oh, that was the best information ever, or oh man, that's going to help our business so much, or boy, we should really talk to you about coaching us. And so I made this irresistible offer to a number of them, and it's amazing. All of a sudden, it's crickets.
Mm.
And you sit there and go, okay, so which one is it? Boy, was that the greatest information ever, or I'm blowing smoke, one of
Right.
those kinds of things. So again, I think that there's a, if people want to make a quantum leap, you just have to find the expertise that will help get you there. Nobody has gotten to any state of success by themselves.
Yeah.
People sit there and say, look at Michael Jordan. Well, Michael Jordan always had a coach.
Mhm.
Yep. Number one, he wasn't always the Michael Jordan at the end that we knew and loved, but he always had a coach. Why? Because coaches see those blind spots or they see those gaps, as you said, right? You got to fill in the pieces in between. There's not really a shortcut to success other than the apprenticeship mentorship approach, right?
Right.
Where a mentor takes on an apprentice and works along with it. That is, although there's a lot of time and effort applied, really the fastest way to becoming successful. Would you agree?
Absolutely. And in fact, you said something there. And the reason is you can't read the label from inside the jar. That's the whole thing. You can't see your own greatness and you can't see your own, gaps, right? And I literally have before I do an assessment with a client, I have them take my quiz called Find the Gaps, right? And so from there, they will come up with a scorecard and we'll see the sequencing that they should be doing and where their time and effort should be spent and where we should begin. Because a lot of times they're like, oh, I think I should write a book. Well, I mean, hey, you're talking about a 9-time number one international bestselling author. I'm all for writing a book if the book has a strategy that leads you to money, because unless you just want to, have a book for the sake of saying you're a published author, which is a good thing, providing, again, you don't need an income stream right now to fund the book or be at the end of the book and things of that nature. And so even as simple as a book, I have two programs for that. I have Quantum Leap Author and Quantum Leap Publishing from that book perspective. Because I always put strategy into everything, whether you're putting a social media meme out there or you're, doing a video or a show like this, or you're doing a podcast. So many times I'll talk to people and they'll come to me and they'll say, I'm not making the income I thought I should be. And I'll say, great, what are you spending a lot of time on? Well, I just started this podcast. I've been doing it for a year. And I'm like, okay, good. How many leads are you getting a day on the podcast? Well, I'm not getting any leads, but I got 1 million downloads. Okay, well, wrong statistic we're
Yeah.
tracking here, right? That's super. And same with followers and clicks and likes, but are any of those people coming into your funnel? Because if they're not, there's a fundamental gap or issue occurring. And generally it's either you're not saying it at the end properly, like, hey, don't forget to go grab my free gift, or don't forget to do this, making that call to action, or there's a disconnect between who you are as a service provider and what you're maybe talking about on a podcast or something out. And so I really help people kind of synchronize the passion with the ability for them to create income.
Again, two very important points there. You said the word funnel, and I think sometimes those who have been around industries where they have set up funnels take it for granted that everybody knows what that is. And then the other is call to action. So help everybody understand a little bit what a funnel is and what a call to action is.
So I learned about funnel technology almost 17 years ago now, and it's probably one of the greatest things I learned in conjunction with a landing page, which is that one-page website where you put in the name and the email address of a prospect in exchange for a gift, right? So what happens to that person after they opt in, so to speak? Well, that's where the funnel concept kicks in. So you'll have a funnel, which is almost like that indoctrination. Welcome aboard, welcome to the community. And you'll educate them through emails, drip campaign emails, to the point where they see your value, reach out, and then want to do a discovery call with you, or purchase a low-end product, or, whatever, right? Attend one of your events, a show, something. They do an actual, they take action, right? Based on their now, increase in know, like, and trust. And so you'll have a funnel actually for new indoctrination. You'll have a funnel for a new client when you onboard. You'll have a funnel for a client that has completed the cycle and now moves to nurture campaign. You really need a funnel for every single step of from prospect to completion cycle of somebody that encounters you. And then a call to action is something that needs to be happening in almost everything you do. For example, you do a show, you do a podcast, you're a guest on one of them, you are on the stage, you're sending out a email. And so all of these need that call to action, which it could be as simple as book a discovery call, or opt into my or grab a free gift, which is in turn opting into the landing page. Or it could be follow me on YouTube if you're looking to build that relationship. It's something that I'm working on right now because I have a brand new program called Quantum Leap Video. So I'm starting to build my YouTube channel. I've already now succeeded in becoming a YouTube partner. And so that meant I needed to build the channel, right? With viewing hours and people. So I started campaigns that were driving to that. So it doesn't produce income, but it is producing the relationship that I now have with YouTube. And so a call to action means you have a strategy in mind for what it is that you're going to do. And then you make sure that everything you're putting out there, from social media to an email, contains that end game towards the goal.
Yeah, sounds great. I mean, again, I was just thinking through that, and far too many people, they give content, but then they don't call the content receivers to any particular action. Mm-hmm. And so that effort a little bit goes by the wayside, for sure. And especially, but call to actions don't have to be so overly complex either. It could be, like you say, for a free gift, or, I mean, mm-hmm. It doesn't have to even entail money or be financial. It could be almost anything.
Right. That's right. It could be a lead, an opt-in, a free gift, or a discovery call. It can be anything as long as it makes them click again, right? Which is kind of that call to action concept. And yeah, so it's really important to keep them engaged. And I think the thing to keep in mind too is an 80-20 rule. So when you are communicating with people, it's like 80% education, enlighten, entertain, with a casual call to action, which means PS or, hey, go grab my gift, right? Then there's that 20% where you need to get overt, which means you're going and you're actually, doing a video about one of your programs and services, or you're doing a full solo email on one of the new things that you're offering, and to invite people to find out more about it. And so when you post or you start to put together your marketing calendar based on that, that's where you're ultimately going to start to see a lot more success and conversion.
Absolutely, for sure. We've got probably 5 or 6 minutes left here. What tip or technique or what can you share with the audience to help them get off the dime if they're a little bit stuck? We're in a very unique time in business these days, right? And what used to work may not. What is now working might be a little bit new to them. How about something really solid for people to be able to leverage?
Well, the solid piece, you said the issue in a way, right? It actually varies per person, right? So the bottom line though is if you're stuck, schedule a discovery call with somebody, whether it be me, whether it be you, doesn't matter. Reach out and get some enlightenment from somebody other than yourself, trying to circular solve the problem. Because trust me, if you could have solved the problem, it would have been solved and you wouldn't be stuck. So you're at a position where you can't see, you're in a blind spot. And somebody else needs to come for, so many times somebody will say, I'm stuck, or this isn't converting, or that. I can look and see it in seconds what's happening, right? Because of our experience, because they can't, they're looking at it all day. And so really reach out. Discovery calls are free. Yes, they lead to the moment where I might at the end say, you know what? Quantum Leap Business would be an awesome program for you. Here's what it entails. Would you be interested? No big deal though. Nobody's out there really hard selling you. They're simply saying in a few minutes at the end of that conversation, but trust me, the enlightenment that they bring in a discovery call allows you to relax, release, and open the door to an answer. And you may get that answer and maybe you're like, oh my God, I see what's happening. Thank you so much. Or, oh my God, I see what's happening. I would love you to be my coach because I realized I'm being way too slow at this game. Take me forward, right? Either way, you're going to benefit by hopping in. And don't worry to the fact that, yes, there will be something said to you at the end about an offer. If you don't want to take the offer, don't take it. It's as simple as that. But trust me, the data that they just gave you is worth its weight in gold, because people like myself and Scott, who have been in the industry now almost, over 30 years, the data that we can impart on you in 3 minutes is mind blowing. And I'm not saying that from me. I'm saying that from the first 5 minutes of every conversation I've had with somebody, that they say, oh my God, I never saw that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it reminded me of the old Einstein quote, and pretty
Sanity.
smart. Pretty well. He's got many great quotes, but the one that says, the level of thinking that created the problem is not enough to solve the problem.
Exactly.
A little bit of a paraphrase there, but the reality is, as you're saying, many times just that discovery call. And quite frankly, don't be offended if somebody offers you something at the end. You should actually hope they do, because then they care enough about you and your issues to offer you a potential solution. I say it all the time. People make selling and presentation and all of it way too hard. It's 4 words: identify problem, provide solution.
Yeah.
So you're in that discovery call, right? And all of a sudden you're able to identify the problem. The next natural step is to provide a potential solution for consideration. If you like it, grab it. If you don't like it, don't grab it.
Exactly.
Nothing that any of us do is going to change the world dramatically in one decision.
Yes.
Right. So I take it and utilize that to your best. how do people get a hold of you to work with you? Because you're an absolute genius when it comes to the digital marketing space and so much more. How do they get to you to work with you?
Well, thank you first for your kind comments there. For simplicity, you can go to fastactionresults.com. You opt in, you're connected with me. You can book a discovery call as soon as you get through. I'll call it the gates, provide your name and email, and we can take our relationship from that step. And or you can just sit there and watch what I do. You can follow me on social media, but let's just connect in some way, because I'm pretty sure that there's some way that I can help you reach your next level.
Absolutely. I'm totally convinced of that myself. So if you have liked or anything that we've said here today resonates with you, get a hold of Tracy, get a hold of myself. We'll figure out how to be of best service to you. Tracy, thanks for joining us here on Champions of Inspiration.
Thank you, Scott.
And everybody, thanks for joining us here. And we'll see you again at the next event. God bless.